Architectural Review Board of Radnor Township, PA, meeting of Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. First order of business is a call to order. Second order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
States of America and to the
the
republic
republic for which it stands, one nation,
indivisible,
under
liberty and justice for
for all.
Okay. Third order of business is our reorganization. Do we have a motion for chair?
I move that Bob Mordesco be nominated as chair.
I second.
Well, thank you very much. The motion carries. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with both of you over these years. My question is, would you like to vote for a vice chair? You both have given exemplary service to the board. We will have changes hopefully coming up going forward. And in my opinion, let's have some continuation there if need be. How do you both feel about that?
How about if we be co-vice chairs?
I'll nominate Sarah as vice chair.
And I nominate Terry as vice chair.
Oh, goodness gracious. I think we can do that. And I say the motion carries. I also say yay. We can always,
Congratulations to all of us.
yeah, we can revisit that later, but I'm all for that. So congratulations, co-chairs. You both highly deserve it. Okay, new business.
Bob.
ARB 2021-1, 418 Woodland Avenue, first floor addition on back of house with small covered porch back entry. Before we get into our presentation, I'd like to give some background on this property. According to Radnor Township records, they say that it's a contributing property. It was built between 1885 and 1889. The architect was Price Brothers. The builder was Wendell and Smith. Radnor Historical Society's Radnor Township Historic Resource Survey says the historic name of this property, it's a gabled inn. It was built between circa 1889 and 1890. The architects, the engineers were John Clifford Worthington. The builders were Wendell and Smith. Delaware County property records say that the house was built in 1890. The building area is 2,395 square feet living. And since this is a gabled inn, I would just like to make everyone aware of this little brochure, which is available at the Radnor Historical Society called Rural Homes, which was a marketing piece for the builders, Wendell and Smith. And they list the gabled inn here as this design costing $5,500 with lot size 60 by 200. Its design, it is called a little house that is only in looks, has a good porch and contains reception room with large square hall and oaken stairway, living room, dining room, pantry, kitchen, and out kitchen on the first floor, and 5 chambers and bathroom on second floor with good rough loft overall. Plumbing is as good as the best. Stairway of oak, furniture finish, back stairs. Now for this case, please introduce yourself and share your design plans with us.
Hey, good evening. Thank you very much for having me. My name is John Alexander. I own the property with my wife, Courtney, and I'm also joined by our architect, Melanie Holmes. We're here to share our project with you this evening and answer any questions that you may have, our proposed project. So is it okay if I go ahead and share the screen?
Yeah.
Please do.
Are you currently living there?
Yes, yes, we
Okay.
are. Yep. Yep. We purchased the property in October of 2017. So we've lived here for about 3 years. The family preceding us owned it, I think, for about 40. They had 4 children, as do we. So hoping to carry some of that good mojo forward. So you'll see it. We tried to prepare a, just an overview and kind of step through visually to help you orient kind of around, around the house and around the project. Bob did a great job, but better than I, of introducing, the gabled inn. So we pulled some of the research from the Radnor Historical Society. So you'll see that on the earlier sections, of the document that I've shared with you. So unless you want me to stop or answer any questions about that, I think Bob did a good job covering that. I believe in the Delaware County records, there's 15 homes that are of the gabled inn style. So this is the front picture from Woodland Avenue. Oops, sorry about that. If you're standing on Woodland Avenue and facing the front side of the house. On the second page there is just, I think it's the exact excerpt that Bob just shared, along with some of the renderings, not of this specific home, I don't think, but of of some of the original designs. So if I jump to page 5 in your packet, what we really wanted to do was just help orient you around the property and kind of get you situated with, where the majority of the project would be. The proposal is to really do a first floor addition, expanding the back side of the house. And so, on the upper left side of the screen, this is a picture of the house as it is today. On the left side is, a porch, a covered porch, with screens. And then on the right side, I think the excerpt referred to this as an out kitchen. Today this has a very small powder room, laundry room, and, a pantry closet. And so if you look down in the lower right, this is kind of a combination of the existing site plan, with woodland on the right. The house is, generally oriented to the east. And so what I wanted you to see here was just the overhead view of these two structures here, the dotted lines, both labeled. This one right here. Let me see if I can. Right here, this is the dotted lines are the existing sun porch there. And if we're call number 2 here, the out kitchen, that's this section right here. And then of course the shading is the proposal of the addition. So as you can see from this overhead image, the majority of the addition will be on the back side of the house. With a little bit of it, a side porch coming off the driveway, which is on the north side of the house here, which is in this picture, it's over here on the left-hand side. So now that we're situated, if I could have a drum roll or something like that, this is a picture of the proposed addition on the back side of the house. And again, the driveway is over here on the left-hand side of the house. What we're looking for is an entryway to come in off of the driveway. Today, we primarily go in and out of the front, so being able to pull the vehicles all the way to the back and enter through the back of the house, is the idea here. So you can see what we're doing is we're trying to stay within the roof lines, of the existing structures that are there. We've got I think Melanie did an amazing job of trying to match that roof line and kind of juxtapose it with the second and third story roof lines here. So there'll be these 2 hips on either side. But then the centerpiece is these, these big 4 windows here, which will serve as, you know, an eating area and expansion of the kitchen. You know, as you saw in some of the other pictures, the majority of the exterior, well, today, all of the exterior is stuccoed, a rough kind of stucco. And you can see in the rendering, we would intend to do, you know, a siding primarily around the addition with a little bit of stucco on the lower side, and then some stone veneer to match the existing foundation of the building. You know, in a future project, we would hope to do, you know, add some of the siding and perhaps other locations in the house, you know, to just kind of get it some uniformity with mixed materials. And this appears to be fairly common throughout some of the houses in Wayne in terms of siding, where it's a, you know, mixed material, where there might be stucco on the first story and siding on the second, or vice versa. Do you want me to pause for questions, or you want to look at some of the other elevations and we'll come back to questions at the end?
I just have a very quick question. How much of this addition is really going to be able to be seen from the street?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. I have a kind of a visual or a view kind of further down the line, if we're in a subsequent page, but if you were, you know, if you were looking at the front elevation, you would essentially see this side, you know, this is kind of the sight line.
Okay.
You know, so from the front of the house, you know, essentially all you will see is this side of the porch. You know, and let me show you, I can, you know, pretty easily answer your questions.
Page 10.
Sure. Yeah, I can jump to that. You know, this is the southern side elevation. The house, you know, if you're facing on the south side of us, is quite close. And so to see anything from the street, you know, is fairly limited. You know, you may see what you would see today, which is this backside, you know, this backside of the out kitchen there. Yeah, so maybe it'd be just easier to jump ahead. So here's an overhead view to answer your question. So if you were standing out front on Woodland Avenue, again, the sight line, you would essentially just see this side of the house here, and, you know, and then here's a rendering of, you know, what you would essentially see.
It's very thoughtfully done. Thank you.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, I would also like to make a comment too, that there are other small porches on existing gabled inns in the area that are visible from street view, and kind of like equivalent to what you're proposing, which is in the street view with your new addition. Also, the other question I have is, what is the total square footage of the proposed addition?
Okay, so I guess the gross square footage would be 490.
Okay.
You know, that's gross. It doesn't account for, you know, the space that we would be losing from these two structures.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't have any more questions. Do either of you? I would like to, we have a big agenda tonight, so as much as we'd love to have pleasant conversation, I think I've seen enough. And I would like to make a motion that we recommend a certificate of appropriateness for this property.
I'll second. I'll second.
I would just like to also comment that the addition keeps the principal building prominent. So we have a motion for certificate of appropriateness. The motion was seconded. I also say yay. The motion carries. The board recommends a certificate of appropriateness. Thank you for presenting to us today, John. You did an excellent job.
Thank you, guys.
Plans are exquisite.
Thanks so much. Appreciate
Very
it.
nice to
You
know
did a
that
good
there's
job,
somebody out there who
Sarah.
gets it.
Indeed. Okay. Where are we? Okay, with new business. Second
Pembroke.
page
Remember,
is Harb 2021-2. 235 Pembroke Avenue, new home construction per plan. Radnor Township property records say it's a contributing property. Delaware County property records say it was built in 1945. The building area is 744 square feet living. And Radnor Historical Society's Radnor Township Historic Resource Survey says nothing about that. Okay, so please introduce yourself and share your plans.
Hi, my name is Matthew Paolino. I'm here on behalf with Murray Spencer from McIntyre Capron. And the property.
Begin, I have a question. Is this a spec house?
Excuse me?
Is this a spec house?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. The records are probably referring to in the back of the property, close to the property line, there is a small detached garage that it's a 3-bay garage, and it has a little apartment that was probably put in sometime in the 40s above it. So that's the building that I think you're referring to, is the 1945 structure.
Indeed, I was going to ask you whether or not that was a garage or a house there. So that
Yeah,
answers my
just a
question.
garage.
Thank you.
Okay, and we're proposing to build a new house in front of it in the real building area of the lot, let's call it, as opposed to the detached garage portion of land.
And is the land currently vacant? Is
Yes.
there, okay, what was torn down to make that land vacant and when?
I don't know what was torn. I don't know that anything was ever on the land, quite frankly.
Okay,
I think it was always vacant.
okay, thank you.
Yep. So anyway, our plans, I don't know how to put them up. Can you guys display them, Andy, or?
I'm actually watching this. I'm doing this on my personal.
We have it.
Oh, you
Yeah.
have it. Okay, I didn't. Okay. I was trying to figure out how to display them and I couldn't. But anyway, the existing home was designed by Murray Spencer, McIntyre Capron, and it's about a 3,800 square foot new home on two stories. And Murray visited the site along with myself, and we took into account the properties that were around the site and tried to design something that we thought would fit in.
Continue. I'll comment when comments are ready.
Okay, well, what is it that you would be looking for in terms of presentation here, in so much as Murray? Is Murray here? He was here.
Yes.
Oh. Hi, Murray. Maybe you want to give them the background of how you came up with, your design and why you think it's appropriate. Because
well, the design is based on the house. The house is facing the street, and the house was designed to align with the side yards and the setbacks.
Yeah,
that's why it steps back in the front and the back. Otherwise, we'd have a house that was more trapezoidal in shape, and this is a bunch of intersecting rectangles. So that's how the room shapes. Actually, the shape of the footprint came about. And the rooms just followed. No real.
We don't need to know anything about the interior. We're just concerned with the exterior.
Okay, so I just used materials that I've seen around Radnor in different neighborhoods. Stone and hardy planks, vertical siding, board and batten, and horizontal siding.
I think that's a fair summation. I mean, that's what we see in the properties adjacent to this property. It's not in a section that's, highly influenced by the Victorian houses. There's a mix of the
There
house.
is, yes, there is.
And
A mix
we
of
tried
houses.
to do something that was.
Looks like it's from the 30s.
Well,
One of the glories of the historic district in Wayne is the front porch.
Mhm.
If you look at any of the houses that are really part of the meat of the historic district, there's a front porch. And that is what makes a neighborhood, what makes neighbors. We have a porch fest. Front porches are very important to everyone who makes decisions about housing in Radnor. And this house has not even, I mean, I'm an engineer and I couldn't even figure out how you'd shoehorn a porch onto the front of that design. It
I'd
is,
like to comment on that if I could. In my opinion, the proposed design plan does utilize in the front shed roofs and gabled roofs, which exist on other houses in the historic districts, as well as shingles on the roof. More so, at least as far as the front goes, in Radnor Historical Society's photo archive, it shows a house at 224 Pembroke from 1984 with a somewhat similar design for the proposed main entry door in the front of the house. 224 Pembroke has a fully gabled front door entrance. This proposed design has a 1/2 gabled roof. In my opinion, this proposed design incorporates that feature.
it looks like other houses in Radnor Township, I grant you, but it does not look like other houses in the neighborhood. When we're talking about new construction, we really want something that looks like it fits, that looks like it could have always been there. And I appreciate that you took the care of the lot and not have a trapezoidal house. No one wants that. I appreciate that you have gone to the trouble of taking the visual cues of the various roof lines. But I take great exception that you turn your back on that great feature of the Wayne Historical District, and that is the front porch. And if you're building this house for spec, if this isn't the desire of the client, as it were, I would like to offer to table this proposal and come back to us with something that looks more like it is taking cues from the beautiful Victorians that are in the same neighborhood.
Well, as the client, I mean, I build these for myself. Ultimately, someone else will buy them. The fact of the matter is, there are houses around there with a front porch. I do not think every house around there has a front porch.
No, every house does not have a front
And,
porch. I agree.
We were unaware of that, and due to the limitations of this lot, a front porch we felt was not a desirable trait. If it's a mandatory trait, then we were unaware of that.
It's not mandatory. It is not mandatory.
And we weren't aware that it was a key factor of being appropriate. In other words, we're after a certificate of appropriateness from you folks. And I did not see anywhere where that was sort of a given design guideline. And we tried to do the best we could with making the house complementary to the other homes, like I said, immediately near us, and at the same time utilize the site the best way possible. And that's how we came up with our design. I think it's attractive, obviously.
I'm not denying that it's attractive.
I think it's appropriate, but
you know, you could put it on my lot, but
no, I understand that, but I'm telling you how we got there and why we got there. And we're, somewhat limited by what we can do. And that's, I guess that's where we stand. I think I would prefer, if the board to vote on it, if they, they have to do what they think's, appropriate. That's why we're here. If they have a change they want to recommend, of course we have, we want to listen. And if there's a way we can incorporate the change into it and it makes sense, we'd be willing to. I'm disappointed, Sarah, from the beginning, you were shaking your head no before we even did any presentation. And it didn't seem like there was even any interest in what we had to say. So I'm disappointed in that, but it is what it is. That is what it is.
Does the board have a site plan with the house on it?
They do.
We have a
Okay,
site
but
plan,
I'm not
yes.
sure. I don't have the site plan in front of me. I'm looking at my iPhone, but I'm not sure. I mean, there's a porch on the house. I'm not sure how much deeper or wider it can get, given the setbacks.
I'd like just to make a point for everyone, maybe to help with some clarification. If I understand this, Murray, correctly, the points of these rectangles all are on the front set. They represent, if you drew a straight line across, which you can see on the site plan, the front yard setback, correct?
Right.
So you have to sawtooth that backwards to stay within the setback.
Correct.
That's okay.
Correct. In fact, this house is even smaller than originally designed because when Bob Waker put it back on the site plan, I had to cut it back even further.
Okay, because what I'm looking at, whatever the small front porch is, even that looks like the point is almost on the setback line itself.
It is.
It's very close.
So either I have a porch with a different roof or this porch, but I mean, I'm not gonna get much porch out of this.
Yeah. But you're constrained.
Be sold.
You're constrained by that front line.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I was looking at. Thank you.
Andy, could a variance be applied? Could they apply for a variance to put a porch on the front?
I don't know, would there be a hardship? Does a
I don't know what the hardship would be, and if I'm looking at it correctly, and Matt, you could probably let me know, is that front yard is your stormwater, you need that space for the rain garden, correct? Because you don't perk there. You probably don't perk because it's wet ground there, correct?
That's correct. Pretty much all of South Wayne is, but I don't think a variance.
So you're dealing with two issues. You've got your constraint of the setback, but also you're constrained by where you have to put your stormwater management, which I think Murray dealt with in the best way he could. He's drawn it to the line. I mean, he can't make it any bigger to accommodate the porch. I mean, the porch that he has is what he can do, is what I see. I don't think, you could always go for a variance, but you'd have to show hardship, and a porch isn't a hardship.
Andy, thank you for clarifying that. Again, in my opinion, not all houses in the historic districts do have porches.
No, but they don't. I agree.
Okay.
But
again,
we as a committee have always advocated, especially with new construction, that it include this feature, which is so prominent and so valued in this neighborhood. I'm not coming out of left field here.
We don't feel you're coming out of left field either, as a person going in front of this board. It's just that each project has its own burdens to carry. And in this case, if we had the space, I think Andy would tell you quite often we build homes with porches. We do value porches. We understand people have a value to porches. They have value to all different things, but we're limited in this circumstance from the ability to do a porch.
I'm on my couch and the big plan that you sent is on the coffee table. That's why I'm bending over to look at it.
No problem.
The patio is not considered part of the building area, Andy? Isn't that considered impervious also?
If it's covered, well, anything, they would be considered impervious, but in terms of setbacks, the covered porch cannot go into a setback, but an uncovered patio can protrude into it. So anything that has covers, a roof of some sort, will have to be
In
construed
the setback.
building, yeah.
Well, it's a lovely house. I just don't feel it contributes to the neighborhood. If you just need 2 votes, you don't have mine. It's a lovely house. Come build it on my lot, but not in that neighborhood.
Are there any more comments from the board?
I just wanted to ask if the packet that I missed picking up because of the snow shows a color picture, because I'm less concerned about the porch and more concerned about the materials and the colors as they fit. In other words, how will this look? Are we,
So the stone would typically be a gray mica with this, prominent in the area,
We don't,
but we're
we
open.
don't dictate materials.
well, the houses that you've done, that I'm familiar with, you've done very well. What are the colors in
Excuse
the
me?
rest of the house?
The colors?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Terry, is that what you asked? I didn't hear that clearly.
I'm just saying that I can see the stone, but is it wood? It looks almost like a wood batten.
Yes,
Material.
it is a wood batten look. But did you ask me the color, Terry? My
Yes,
computer.
I did. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. So the color would typically be like a creamish, brown, which really the house next to it has. Actually, the houses on both sides of it have that same kind of earth tone color. And the
Well,
window will more than likely be white.
I've been walking my dog all winter in that neighborhood, so I
Okay.
can promise you that every house does not have a porch, and that is less concerning to me. And I'm generally okay with it. I mean, it's hard to envision without the color we usually get. We get a lot of photographs, for example. Obviously, you can't do
Yeah,
that.
it's an existing home. Yeah, right.
But you could take a picture of the grass.
I agree with Terry.
I'm not hung up on the porch, because I can name a dozen houses within, 300 feet that are.
No, I understand, but this is new construction. And we as a
No, I
group have
understand
always
too.
advocated for porches. And so that's all I'm doing.
Well, then we'll know to expect it. Not to worry. But I wouldn't hold up the construction on that feature alone. There are lots of
I
other-
agree with Terry on that. I also think, because of what the township has said on the constraints, I think that this plan is for the welfare of the homeowner. And it fits the township's needs, it fits the homeowner's needs. And so I feel that the design is fine with me. Any more questions? Okay, do we have a motion?
Why don't you make the motion?
What, Terry?
Said, why don't you make?
I'm on the record as saying that I don't approve of this design for that neighborhood. So you have to make the motion.
I'll make the motion then for the certificate of appropriateness.
Okay, we have a motion for certificate of appropriateness. I second that motion. There's one nay. I also say yea. The motion carries. The board recommends a certificate of appropriateness. Thank you for presenting to us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Old business continued. Harb 2020-14, 406 Woodland Avenue. Install new deck on rear of house. And a little bit of background on that property. Radnor Township records say it's a contributing property. It was built between 1885 and 1889. The architect was J.C. Worthington, the builder, Wendell and Smith. The Radnor Historical Society Historic Resource Survey says type of house, gabled in, built circa 1889 to 1890. Architect J.C. Worthington and John Clifford. Builder Wendell and Smith. Delaware County, PA property records say it was built in 1883. Building area is 3,023 square feet living, style old. Okay, please introduce yourself and share your plans with us.
Okay, my name is Ed Babin. I'm the homeowner at 406 Woodland Avenue. I don't have the drawings on to be able to show you. I have them here, but I know you have the packet. And I'm adding a 12 by 25 wooden deck on the rear of the house in the style of the home. The handrail will match the existing front porch handrail, all made out of mahogany with painted balusters. And the stone is matched for the pillars is matched to the existing foundation stone. Throughout the remainder of the house, it connects to my existing side screened in porch and has one set of stairs that discharges down to the ground. That's it.
How much of it can be seen from the street?
Oh, I'm sorry. If you look on page architectural A2, just one small portion, as you can see right here, can be seen from the street. The balance is all in the rear of the house. So predominantly 90% of the deck cannot be seen from the front porch, except for from the north side. If you're walking down the street, you'll be able to see that side of it. And that's the section on A2, which is the west deck elevation.
I would like to make a comment after reviewing the plan. In my opinion, the design and features and details of this deck are exquisite, in my opinion. It is 300 square feet, well within scale of the principal building. It is also a positive enhancement for the house owner to meet a modern want or need.
I move that we grant a certificate of appropriateness for this property.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion for certificate of appropriateness. The motion was seconded. I also say yay. The motion carries. The board recommends a certificate of appropriateness. Thank you for presenting to us today.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Goodbye.
All right, next up, old business, Harb 2020-15, 214 Walnut Avenue, new 2-story rear addition. Some background on the property. Radnor Township records say it's a contributing property. It was built between 1885 and 1889. The architect is Price Brothers. The builder is Wendell and Smith. Radnor Historical Society Historic Resource Survey says type of house, pillar house. And that's also listed in that rural homes from Radnor Historical Society. Was built circa 1888 to 1889. The architect is Price Brothers. The builder is Wendell and Smith. Delaware County property records say it was built in 1885. The building area is 3,128 square feet living. Okay, please introduce yourself and share your plans.
Okay, I'm Caroline Swisher. I'm representing the John and Dana Duffy, and they purchased the house at 214 last year. It was under renovations by the previous owner. It was going to be a flip, and they purchased it mid-construction. So as you can see by the photos, and I can actually do a screen share if that would work with you guys. Okay, do you guys see the photos?
Yes.
Okay, so the original house, when they purchased it, had no siding. It is a cross gable roof, as you can see on the side elevation. And we are proposing the rear addition be a 2-story. The arrow points to it to cover this side. And we're going to do a gambrel roof to mimic some of the detailing on the existing house, as you can see from the side elevation. And here's a elevation from the other corner. So as you can see from the front elevation at the bottom of the screen, you can't see any of the work from the left side of the house. And if I go back to the first page, you can see just a slight edge of the right side of the addition. Everything else will be covered by the existing house. And
How did you get those palm trees to grow?
you're seeing my,
How did you get those palm trees to grow on both sides of the house?
Your screen
Better
share.
in my background, my real one. All right, so here are some photos around the neighborhood. Winter, so it's, everything's kind of dead and you can see directly through the houses. It's your usual historic area in Wayne. A lot of steep roofs, like you said before, the porches, a lot of horizontal siding, shiplap, shaker siding, stonework. And the houses are generally set back away from the sidewalk. So we're kind of sticking with similar feel. And this 206 Walnut Ave is a very similar style house. So you can see, and this is 2 houses to the right. So you can see what they've done with it. And I'll switch to, we'll go to our elevations. So do you have the alternate elevations which show the shake siding? Share it on the screen.
No, this isn't shake. This is just boards.
All right, give me 1 second. I'll share it on the screen. It's a slight variation. We were supposed to be presenting in the January meeting, and since then we've added some shape detail that better blend in with the existing house. Again, we're working with a house that has no siding, so as we kind of developed the project, decided to incorporate some of the other things we saw in the neighborhood.
That's great.
So on the screen is the right side elevation. Everything from the, if you see the kind of the end of the word elevation in the drawing tag, to the left is existing, with the exception of the siding, which we plan to add. Everything to the right is the 2-story addition. So we're mimicking the proportions, the height, the width, the roof lines. And what we want to do is use a hardy board for the majority of it with a 7-inch exposure. similar color. So it's going to be a gray with tan trim. Windows are white. And then there's a trim board that goes around the middle of the addition to help break it up, since we don't have stone on this part of the house. But everything else kind of relates to the existing house. On the rear, you won't see it from the street, but just to show you, on the left of your screen is the rear addition, and then the right side is the view from the left side of the property, which again, you won't see from the street. So focusing on the first elevation, I think you'll see that a lot of the characteristics of the original historic house are inspiration for the addition. And
I have a question.
sure.
What is the total square footage of the proposed addition?
The addition is, the footprint is 364 square feet. So it's approximately 19 by 20'6". And then there is a small deck, which essentially is just to get them out of the house because there's 2 doors. So the deck is 71 square feet, plus steps down to grade.
I have another question with
Sure.
the addition as far as the roof line.
Let me pull that back
Kind
up.
of like equates to the roof line of the original, of the principal building. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Have you considered a lower roof line in order to keep the principal building prominent?
I think lowering the roof right now, we've already lowered it into the space. So we've already got clip ceilings around the room. And I think if we lower it, it's going to be really not as functional. And I think it's less, I don't have a front elevation, but the main gable of the front of the house is really dominant. So I don't think that this will compete with the other elements on the house. I can show you a photo that would help with the existing. You can see this large steep gable in the front. And as the angle from the street, it's really is a majority of it's hidden. There's bushes off to the right. And this is really the best angle to see the house. And in the packet, there is an example of another project in the neighborhood that did something similar.
Are there any further questions from the board?
No, I want to compliment you on being so sensitive to the taking cues from the design of the original home. I think it is, it's pretty big. We do generally get concerned with massing, but I think you've demonstrated that it really will generally not really be visible from the street. That's our primary concern. I don't have any questions at all. I just want to offer a compliment. It's great. That's what we look for.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I also agree with Sarah's observation on that. Any further comments?
No,
I heartily recommend a certificate of appropriateness.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all
I'll
right,
second it.
okay. We have a motion for certificate of appropriateness. The motion was seconded. I also say yay. The motion carries. The board recommends a certificate of appropriateness. And thank you for presenting to us today.
Great,
Thank
thank
you
you.
for your patience
Good
in
night.
waiting till this month.
Thank you.
everyone.
Okay, moving along. Old business continued, Harb 2020-17, 309 Orchard Way, proposed one-story addition at rear of home. A little background on the property. Radnor Township records say it's a contributing property. It was built circa 1890. The architect is Price Brothers, the builder Wendell and Smith. Radnor Historical Society Historic Resource Survey says, historic name of this property is Old Willow and Estate House. Built, no information, architect, based on a design for Walter Bassett Smith by Heacock and Hokinson. Who was Walter Bassett Smith? None other than the Smith and Wendell and Smith builders. Delaware County, PA property records say it was built in 1925. Building area, 3,597 square feet living. Please introduce yourself and share your plans with us.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. This is old business in the truest sense that we actually presented in July and received a certificate of appropriateness for this very same project. Since that time, we've hired a new architect who's joining me here tonight. His name is John Davey, and really to finalize the plans to get ready for build. And from that kind of work, we've made some slight modifications to the roof line. We've changed essentially the rear entryway to make it more practical and still retaining all of the wonderful charm and architectural features that this house has. So excited to share with you again. We did receive a certificate of appropriateness the last time. We have a similar square footage this time at under 500 square feet. I believe it's 492 square feet with this revision. The addition is off the back of the house, and it's not visible by the street. But why don't I share my screen and I can just refresh everybody's memory on here. So this is the beautiful front porch, which we're not modifying. This is the rear of the house as it currently is today. So there's a porch over here. This is a mudroom back entranceway. And I don't know if you're able to see my cursor, but essentially the addition is going to go right into this corner of the house here and extend from this roof line downwards, which will look like this picture here. Sorry. Hopefully you can see that.
So if I can jump in here,
Yeah.
I'm John Davey, the architect. What we're trying to do here is obviously keep the new addition under the 500 square foot, so it matches up with the footprint of what was approved in July. And then what we want to do is go back and look at the elevations and make the rear elevation more architecturally correct with the main house. So we're using the same stone base that's on the house, the same trim details that bridge from the cedar shake to the stone base. Kind of same theme of the windows, same rafter tail details, same rake board details that you see on the gable and stuff like that, and try to get it more architecturally pleasing with the style of the house as opposed to what was approved in July.
So that's the back elevation. Here's the side elevation.
That's the driveway side elevation there.
Driveway side elevation, yep.
So that's the elevation that would be seen ever so slightly from the street. The other side is blocked by the existing mudroom that was on the house and stuff like that. So it really blocks the view of it. Plus the where the neighbors.
Actually, John, I paid close attention to this, and you actually won't be able to see the addition from the side of the house. The way this house is positioned on the land in relation to the direction that the street goes in, only my neighbor would be able to see this side of the house. No one from the street can see that, because it actually this side elevation does not extend to the full width of the house. Right. So
I remember that from the other presentation.
So here's the width of the house, and then the steps so this is my existing fireplace, and the steps don't even go to the edge. So it really can't be seen from the street, from my opinion.
Yeah, and if you look at the site plan that was provided in the packet, you can kind of see how far that offset is from the back corner of the house, of the existing house, to where the corner of the addition is. It's really, it's really not seen.
Yes, I do remember this presentation from July, and I do agree that it cannot be seen. So I want to thank you for being so sensitive to design elements. It's nice, as I say all the time, it's nice to meet people who get it. I recommend amending the certificate of appropriateness that was granted in July to include this revised design.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion
I-
for a revised certificate of appropriateness from a former case. The motion was seconded. I also say yay. The motion carries. The board recommends a amended certificate of appropriateness. Thank you for presenting to us today.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks,
Really
Jeff.
appreciate it. Good night.
You too. Okay. We're getting down to the wire now here, folks, in this lovely evening, right, with the snow. Is there any public participation? Anybody out there? Andy, anybody calling in?
No, I
No.
don't have anything on my end.
Okay. I don't see anything on my chat. Okay. The next meeting of the HARB is scheduled for Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Applications for the March 3rd, 2021 meeting must be submitted on or before February 16, 2021. I would also like to mention again that we have 2 current openings on our board, and we might possibly have several more coming up. So looking for people that have interest in our work. We can share with you what we do, and it would be an opportunity to serve our community. With that being said, is there a motion for an adjournment?
So moved.
Motion seconded. Okay, we are adjourned. It's great to see everyone.
Everyone have a nice evening.
Thank you.